Conservative in America, and I'm watching CNN just for the straight middle of the road. That's what I hear for 15 minutes. It's great, and then Lonely Scott. It does look, I mean, and when you see the path, it does look like tokenism. It's kind of like the same as The View.
Remember that viral moment when Bill Maher absolutely ripped into Kaitlan Collins and CNN on live TV? Yeah, that one. The internet lit up and people couldn't stop replaying the smackdown. But guess what? That showdown was just the beginning. The clash between Maher and Collins is turning into a full-blown media war, and it's getting uglier by the day. Now let's be real. This isn't just two professionals exchanging polite disagreements on policy. Nope, this is straight-up media beef. Maher's been calling her out without holding back. And Kaitlan, she's out here charging forward like she's on a mission from the heavens. Forget neutrality. Collins is playing hardball and everyone can see it. She's not just reporting the news, she's trying to shape it. People are saying she's turned into a self-righteous pit bull, obsessed with one mission: get Trump out of the White House. No matter what it takes. She's relentless. No pause, no apology, no second guessing. She'll twist a narrative, drop a loaded question, or slap on a fake "I'm just doing my job" smile, all while acting like she's the last moral voice in journalism. And if anyone dares to challenge her...
What is the most pressing question, Kaitlan, you would ask VP Harris if you had the chance? Ooh.
I would have a lot of questions for her, but I do think I would ask about, where she stood when she was running as a candidate and for the 2020 Democratic primary and where she stands on a lot of issues now. She's criticized a lot by Republicans for reversing her positions. I think also, Donald Trump has reversed a lot of his positions from covering those. But I think I would be interested in her evolution and where her instincts are and what she learned from governing with a moderate like President Biden.
Boom, instant villain. Think this is all just drama? Wait till you see the throwback footage we dug up. It's wild, pure media theater. Back when the tension was just simmering, Maher sat down and threw a curveball at Kaitlan. He asked her something simple, but it exposed everything. He said, if you had a one-on-one sit down with Kamala Harris, what would you ask her? And just like that, you could feel the vibe shift. Instead of answering with curiosity or objectivity, Kaitlan's energy turned cold, defensive. You could tell it wasn't about the question, it was about the agenda. That moment, it lit the match. And what's followed has been weeks of thinly veiled jabs, televised tension, and unspoken hostility between these two big league media names. Buckle up, this drama's just getting started. Seems like a simple, harmless question, right? What would you ask Kamala Harris? But somehow, Kaitlan Collins pulled a full-on pivot and managed to detour the entire convo straight to Donald Trump. Like, how does that even happen? It's like Trump lives rent-free in her mind 24/7. The guy could be golfing in Florida completely off the grid, and she'd still find a way to squeeze his name into the segment like it's some kind of requirement. And it's not just a habit, it's a reflex, a full-blown obsession. Trump isn't a political figure to her anymore. He's her favorite prop, her go-to buzzword, the one name that guarantees headlines, drama, and social media clicks. Every time she mentions him, you can practically hear the CNN producers clapping in the control room, like clockwork.
You guys have that debate?
It's ABC debate.
ABC debate.
If it happens, I still think it's an open question. Of
really?
whether or not it happens.
Trump's gonna go. He's got to.
You think that Trump is going to pull out?
I think Trump is nervous about it. I think Trump, I talked to a lot of sources in his world. I think he has really struggled with it. It's not just a narrative or a talking point from Democrats. He really has struggled with how to combat her. And I think going into that debate, he does not really want to do it. I think it's difficult, if not impossible, for him to pull out because his campaign manager had cards printed that said anywhere, anytime, any place for President Biden, and it would look weak, but I don't think he's looking forward to it at this point.
Why is she doing this? Easy. Trump is her trump card, no pun intended. Her golden goose. Her audience is primed and ready to foam at the mouth at the slightest mention of his name. So what does she do? She feeds it again and again, not because it's relevant, but because it works. It keeps her in the spotlight, keeps viewers riled up, and keeps the anti-Trump hysteria burning like wildfire. Facts? Nah, it's all about the outrage now. But Bill Maher wasn't buying it, not even for for a second. He saw the setup coming a mile away. You could see it in his face. He already knew Kaitlan wasn't going to answer the question straight. He knew she was just looking for the perfect moment to slide Trump into the conversation like it was part of some pre-planned monologue. And this time, he wasn't about to let it slide. Instead of sitting back and watching her go on another anti-Trump rant, Maher flipped the whole script. He cut right through the fluff, exposed the angle, and made her squirm on live TV. She didn't expect that. You could tell. The usual rhythm? Gone. Her confidence? Shaken. Her rehearsed jabs? Blocked. It was one of those moments where you know someone just got outplayed on their own turf. And let's just say, Kaitlan did not take it well. Her smile got tighter, her tone got colder, and the deflection game kicked into high gear. But the damage was done. The routine was over, and Maher had called her bluff in front of everyone. Now here's where it gets even more ironic. Kaitlan and CNN love to act like they're above the noise. Fair, balanced, unbiased. That's the mantra they love to repeat every time they're called out. But let's be honest, come on. If that segment proved anything, it's that the whole neutrality act is just that, an act. They swear up and down that they're not leaning left, but their behavior, it screams agenda. And Kaitlan, whether she admits it or not, seems like she's already made up her mind about Trump. Before any debate, before any polling, before any facts were on the table, she was already talking like he was either going to bail or lose. Like the outcome was written in stone and she just forgot to mention who carved it. Where's the objectivity in that? She wasn't analyzing the debate. She was writing the ending, like she had some kind of crystal ball and a script to follow. And all of it disguised as journalism. So much for being the voice of truth.
I'm not a political pundit trying to analyze this stuff, but I do know that it's a very easy debate to win. So all you have to say is, look, you had 4 years, I had 4 years. When I was president, and when you were president, here's the differences. Gas prices are up 50% when you're vice president. Electricity prices up 30%. Grocery up 22%. The list keeps going. Taxes were lower under Trump. They raised them under Biden and Harris. Regulations were lower under Trump. They raised them under Biden and Harris. Immigration numbers way down. They actually tried to stop the problem. Record numbers under Biden and Harris. This is a very easy debate to win because on the metrics, it's very easy to show side by side.
Okay,
but that's what his campaign wants him to say. But Donald Trump it's not a campaign where you just give him his talking points and he goes out there and delivers them. Yeah. I mean, Donald Trump is his own biggest.
None of it was based on strategy. Nah, Kaitlan Collins was operating on pure, unfiltered wishful thinking. No stats, no hard analysis, just vibes and bias. In her head, Trump was already toast. She didn't even pretend to give him a fair shot in the race. No, let's wait and see. No curiosity about the voters. Just a whole made-up fantasy where Trump had already lost before even stepping on the field. She had it all neatly wrapped up in her imagination. In Kaitlan's world, Trump was done, over, out of the game. But reality? Oh, reality wasn't playing along. Reality had a whole different storyline locked and loaded. And Bill Maher, he was sitting back, watching it all go down like a hawk, calm, calculating, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Because if there's one thing Maher doesn't miss, it's media nonsense. And Kaitlan, she had no clue what was coming. She was too busy spinning the narrative, thinking she had the upper hand. But Maher was about to flip the table. The trap had already been set, and she was walking right into it. But before we get into that takedown, hit play on this clip. Seriously, you need to see it with your own eyes, then I'll drop my take. Now, back to the so-called debate. Let's be honest, it was a layup for Trump, straight up political home court advantage. All he had to do was stand on that stage and hit the people with facts. Remind them how things actually were under his administration. The economy, booming, borders, way more secure, foreign policy, tight, global respect, still intact. And now, under Biden and Harris, things feel chaotic, divided, unstable. So when you line it all up side by side, Trump barely even has to talk. The contrast speaks for itself. So why on earth would he back out? That's what made Kaitlan's take so bizarre. What was she even saying? It's like she couldn't wrap her head around the idea of Trump walking onto that stage and completely owning it. Like the very thought was too much to process. So instead, she built this alternate reality, one where Trump either chickens out or completely crashes. A fake version of events to protect her ego in case the real version didn't go her way. And if that fantasy started falling apart, no worries. She had a backup plan ready to go. Dismiss the victory before it even happened. Talk about dodging reality with style. She didn't just rain on the parade, she brought the whole thunderstorm before the balloons even had a chance to float. Kaitlan confidently declared, way ahead of time, that Trump would crash and burn on the debate stage because he'd go off script. That's it. No evidence, no reasoning, no solid prediction. Just another tired anti-Trump soundbite she probably had loaded up before the cameras even started rolling.
You made press because you were on Stephen Colbert's show, and he said something like, you guys at CNN just report the news straight, and the crowd burst into laughter. Look, I'm on CNN now. I guess we're on it right now. I mean, they show this show the next night. I don't know I don't know how we get away with it with all the fucks, but they do. And all these dirty jokes. But I'm glad, and I'm a big rooter for CNN. But that tells you a lot, doesn't it? I mean, how do you guys think you are doing in that arena of like, this is a terribly divided country. We're not only politicized, a lot of people just hate the other side. And CNN, in my view, should be the place where both sides can watch. How do you think you're doing with that?
How is CNN is the place where both sides can watch. And I think, my show is evidence of that. We have lawmakers on from both parties. We'll have Elizabeth Warren on one night. We'll have Ted Cruz on.
This wasn't journalism. It wasn't analysis. It was straight up damage control. Kaitlan knew what was coming. Maher knew what was coming. And let's be real, he was enjoying every second of watching her spiral into narrative mode because deep down, she wasn't trying to report the truth. She was trying to brace for impact. She saw that Trump was gearing up to shake the room, and her way of dealing with it? Try to discredit him before he even opened his mouth. But here's the thing, Kaitlan and her buddies at CNN can't stand the real reason Trump keeps winning hearts. He doesn't need a script. The man's political brand isn't polished or pre-approved. It's raw, unpredictable, and straight from the gut. He talks like your uncle at the cookout, not like some media-trained puppet reading bullet points. And that's exactly why his supporters stick with him. It feels real. It cuts through the noise. But for Kaitlan and the media elite, that kind of authenticity is their worst nightmare because they live and breathe control, scripts, carefully worded press statements, teleprompters, so when someone like Trump strolls onto the scene and throws all that out the window, they don't know how to handle it. He doesn't play by their rules, and that freaks them out bad. So when Kaitlan smugly waved off Trump like he didn't even matter, she wasn't just downplaying his chances, she was exposing herself, her bias, her agenda, and Bill Maher. He was locked in, catching every second of it. You could see it in his eyes. He was just waiting to strike. And when he finally did, Kaitlan wasn't ready, not even close. Because here's the truth, nobody's buying the act anymore. Kaitlan can show up on a few token panels with a different tone or pretend CNN's being fair, but everyone can see through it. Those appearances aren't about balance. They're weak attempts at covering up years of one-sided coverage. A little political makeup on a very obvious bruise. Kaitlan, it's not working. The viewers aren't blind, and neither is Maher. One quick guest spot here, a token conservative there. It's all a game, smoke and mirrors, a perfectly staged performance for the cameras. Because when you actually sit down and look at the numbers, the bias at CNN isn't just noticeable, it's undeniable. The math doesn't lie. You've got 4 Democrats or left-leaning panelists to every one conservative voice, and they want to call that balanced? Please. That's not a discussion, it's a monologue with background noise. This isn't journalism, it's a rigged game, a one-sided stage where the so-called conservative is brought in just for show, like a prop. They're only there to help CNN dodge criticism when people call out the obvious slant. It's like tossing one person into a lion's den and saying, see, we're totally fair. No, you're not. You're just giving yourself a thin layer of cover, hoping no one notices the setup.
And CNN being a place of credibility, I mean, look at what just happened in Chicago. We had 300 people from CNN on the ground covering that convention. There were several reporters from just our team alone on the floor, bringing it in real time to people. And I think CNN puts resources behind things and just brings a level of news that you don't get anywhere else.
And here's the real kicker. Even when CNN does bring in a conservative voice, it's almost never someone who actually reps the heart and soul of the movement. Instead, they pick the safe ones, the soft ones, the Republicans who haven't supported anything remotely grassroots since 2012, the types who'd rather sip cocktails with the Beltway elite than stand with everyday Americans. You know the type, never Trumpers, establishment lifers, or moderates who agree with with the left on nearly every major issue. Immigration? Check. Climate? Check. Foreign policy? Check. The only thing conservative about them is the label CNN slaps on the screen. That way the network gets to puff its chest and say, look, we're giving both sides a voice. But in reality, it's just more narrative control. No real challenge. No shakeup. Just polished groupthink with a weak decoy thrown in for optics. It's a tired trick, and viewers are over it. People can spot the fake neutrality from a mile away now. It's not 2005 anymore. Audiences aren't that naive. They've seen behind the curtain, and they don't like what's there. That's why CNN's ratings keep tanking. It's not a mystery. Folks are sick of the staged debates, the softball opposition, and the constant parade of smug commentary dressed up as hard truth. And yet, even with all that going on, Kaitlan Collins and her network still walk around like they're the gold standard of journalism, like they're out here setting the bar for balanced reporting. It's wild. The audacity is unreal. They'll preach objectivity on air, then turn around and load their panels with voices from the same side of the fence. Call it what it is. It's not reporting. It's reputation management. And people, they're finally waking up. Let's be real. That illusion of fair and balanced CNN coverage, that thing shattered a long time ago. There's no fixing it. The mask is off. The audience has seen too much. So Kaitlan, let's break it down plain and simple. Why was CNN crawling all over the Republican National Convention with cameras, reporters, and correspondents shoved into every corner of the venue? You really think it was about delivering honest journalism, giving both sides a fair shot? Absolutely not. CNN wasn't there to highlight conservative voices or share what GOP supporters actually believe. They weren't interested in the real policy talk, the energy of the base, or what Republican voters are fired up about. No, they showed up for one reason and one reason only: to catch a screw up, a slip, a stumble, They were on a full-blown gotcha mission, waiting like hawks, scanning every second, every sentence, just hoping Trump or one of his allies would misspeak, trip up, or blink the wrong way. That's what they came for. A fumbled sentence? That's your headline. Someone pauses mid-thought. Boom, breaking news. A single protester shouting outside. Suddenly it's front-page chaos. And if nothing happened, oh, don't worry. They'd find something, twist it, reframe it, slap a dramatic graphic on it, and push it like it's the downfall of democracy. That's how they do it. That's the playbook. And meanwhile, what about the actual content? The speeches, the ideas, the massive crowds full of people who showed up fired up and ready to hear real solutions? That part glossed over, either ignored entirely or twisted into some sinister sounding narrative about dangerous rhetoric or a threat to our values. It's the same recycled line every time. Republicans equals risky, conservatives equals chaos. But here's the wild part. When it's time for the Democrats to hold their convention.
Conservative in America, and I'm watching CNN, just for the straight middle of the road. That's what I hear for 15 minutes, it's great, and then Lonely Scott. It does look, and when you see the path, it does look like tokenism. It's kind of like the same as The View. It's like it's almost better to have nobody there, like MSNBC, than to have just
CNN flips the switch. Suddenly, the network becomes a glowing PR machine. No interruptions, no fact checks, no hostile body language from the anchors. Just soft lighting, cheerful tone, and wall-to-wall praise. Every speech sounds like a national treasure. Every awkward moment is brushed aside. Every protester magically invisible. It's not coverage, it's choreography. So no, Kaitlan, you don't get to act like CNN is just out here doing journalism. The people see it. The double standard is glaring. The mission was never about informing the public. It was about controlling the narrative. And honestly, folks are tired of it. No pressure, no pushback, no accountability, just glowing coverage and nonstop praise. Like every Democrat on that stage was delivering a life-changing TED Talk. Every speech, historic. Every soundbite, powerful. And somehow, like clockwork, every single controversy vanished. No critical follow-ups, no messy headlines, just smooth, polished applause from CNN's coverage crew like they were watching a Broadway play instead of a political event. So Kaitlan, please, don't try to act like CNN rolled up to the Republican convention in the name of fairness. We all saw what really went down. You and your team weren't there to report the facts. You were there on a scavenger hunt, digging for dirt, praying for a viral mistake, and ready to pounce on any flinch or stutter from Trump or his allies. Everyone sees through it now. now. The mask is off. Bill Maher wasn't fooled, and he didn't hold back. He called it exactly like it is. And honestly, he was right on the money, because you know what's worse than media bias? Fake balance. That's the real insult. Tossing one conservative into a panel of 4 or 5 left-leaning voices, only to interrupt them the second they speak, then claiming, "See, we gave both sides a platform." That's not balance. That's a trap. That's optics. That's theater. And Maher took it a step further. Did he really compare CNN to The View? Oof, that one stung. But let's be honest, it wasn't even an exaggeration. It was accurate. Imagine going from being the top dog in cable news to being lumped in with a morning panel that's famous for screaming matches, emotional rants, and facts getting trampled by feelings. But he nailed it. The format, the tone, the structure, it's all starting to look eerily similar. CNN at this point isn't much more than a glorified talk show with a slick logo and better lighting. The anchors might wear suits, but the energy is the same. One token conservative surrounded and cornered, with 3 or 4 voices all piling on. Then they twist the takeaway, package it for social media, and call it a debate. That's not journalism. That's performative news dressed up with a teleprompter. It's not about informing the audience. It's about controlling the narrative. And Maher didn't just catch CNN slipping. He exposed the whole machine, the bias, the strategy, the irrelevance. Because the real problem, CNN isn't just spinning, it's shrinking, it's losing trust, losing viewership, and losing its place as a serious platform. Once seen as the center of hard-hitting reporting, now it's being compared to a gossip show, and deservedly so. Maher didn't hold up a mirror, he held up a spotlight, and what it revealed wasn't pretty. A network that once had the power to shape the national conversation is now the butt of the joke. CNN has fallen so far off track, it's almost hard to watch. Once a serious force in journalism, now reduced to spinning the same recycled talking points over and over again. So much that even folks on the left are starting to roll their eyes. You can only cry wolf for so long before people stop tuning in. And when Bill Maher, a guy who's no friend of the far right, starts roasting you live on air, you know things have gone way off the rails. Maher didn't just call out CNN's bias. He shredded Kaitlan Collins' weird fixation with Trump and exposed just how far the network has drifted into irrelevance. No more hard-hitting truth, no real challenge, just partisan theater wrapped in a news logo. When someone like Maher, who's been walking that fine line between liberal commentary and independent thought for years, can see through your act and openly call it out, that's not just a red flag, it's the final nail. CNN's credibility isn't cracked, it's collapsed. And that wraps it up for today's breakdown. If you like this video and want more raw, no-filter commentary on the media, politics, and everything in between, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on those notifications so you never miss a drop. We've got a lot more coming your way, and trust me, you won't want to miss it. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.